August 24th, 79 AD, 1 p.m. A wealthy Roman banker named Lucius Caecilius is having lunch in his villa in Pompeii. He's discussing business, drinking wine, laughing with friends. In exactly 24 hours, he'll be dead, frozen in time, buried under 20 feet of ash, perfectly preserved in his final moment of terror, along with 2,000 other people. But here's what makes this story truly haunting. They had warning, multiple warnings. For 17 years before the eruption, Mount Vesuvius had been sending signals: earthquakes, tremors, strange behavior. And the people of Pompeii ignored every single one. Today, I'm going to walk you through the last 24 hours of Pompeii, hour by hour, from the first rumble to the moment the city died. Because what happened wasn't just a natural disaster. It was a countdown to extinction that nobody believed was real.
Let me set the scene. Pompeii in 79 AD was paradise, a wealthy resort city of about 20,000 people on the Bay of Naples. Beautiful villas, public baths, theaters, restaurants, brothels, everything a Roman could want. And looming over it all, Mount Vesuvius. But here's the thing. Nobody in Pompeii knew Vesuvius was a volcano. It had been dormant for 800 years, so long that the mountain was covered in vineyards and forests. People thought it was just a mountain, a beautiful backdrop to their city. But the mountain had been giving warnings. 62 AD, 17 years before the eruption, a massive earthquake hit Pompeii, magnitude 5.6. Buildings collapsed, the Forum was destroyed, the Temple of Jupiter cracked in half. Thousands fled the city. But over the next 17 years, people came back. They rebuilt. Life returned to normal. August 20th, 79 AD, 4 days before, small tremors started. Nothing major, just rattling dishes, cracks in walls. People shrugged it off, just aftershocks from that old earthquake. August 23rd, 79 AD, 1 day before, wells and springs started drying up. Animals were acting strange. Dogs wouldn't stop barking. Birds were flying away in massive flocks. Some people noticed. Most didn't care. August 24th, 79 AD, morning. The day started normally. Bakers were making bread. Shops were opening. People were going to the baths. A gladiator show was scheduled for the afternoon. At the harbor, sailors noticed something odd. The sea had pulled back unusually far from the shore. They didn't know this was a warning sign. Around noon, a few more tremors, strong enough to knock over some pottery. But it was a beautiful summer day. Warm, clear skies. Nobody was evacuating. Nobody was worried. Then, at approximately 1 p.m., Vesuvius exploded.
The sound was like nothing anyone had ever heard, a deafening roar. Some survivors later said it sounded like 1,000 thunderstorms happening at once. The entire top of Mount Vesuvius blew off. From Pompeii, 6 miles away, people watched in shock as the sky turned black. Within minutes, the sun disappeared. It looked like night had fallen in the middle of the day. Then the ash started falling. At first, it was just light pumice stones, small, lightweight volcanic rock. It fell like snow. People thought, okay, this is bad, but manageable. Let's go inside and wait it out. They didn't realize they had already made a fatal mistake. They should have run immediately. For 4 hours, pumice rained down on Pompeii, a steady shower of stone. It accumulated at a rate of 6 inches per hour. Roofs started collapsing under the weight. People tried to sweep the ash away, but it was pointless. More just kept falling. Some people decided to flee. They grabbed what they could carry: jewelry, coins, family portraits, and ran toward the city gates. Smart decision. These people survived. But most people stayed inside. We'll wait until it stops. It wasn't going to stop. By evening, Pompeii was buried under 3 feet of pumice. The city was in complete darkness. The ash cloud had blocked out all light. People were trapped in their homes. The doors wouldn't open because of the accumulated pumice outside. Roofs were collapsing. Some people tried to tunnel through the ash. Others broke through walls to escape from house to house. The air was becoming toxic, sulfur dioxide. People were coughing, struggling to breathe. And Vesuvius was still erupting. The column of ash was now 20 miles high. Midnight, hour 11. Pompeii was now buried under 6 feet of pumice and ash. Most buildings had collapsed. The air was barely breathable. About 2,000 people were still in the city, trapped in their homes, huddled in cellars, hiding in the public baths, praying in temples. They thought the worst was over. They were wrong. At around 1 a.m., Vesuvius changed. The eruption column, 20 miles high, collapsed under its own weight, and what came down the mountain was something called a pyroclastic surge. Imagine a cloud of superheated gas, ash, and rock, heated to 750 degrees Fahrenheit, racing down the mountain at 450 miles per hour, faster than a bullet train, hotter than an oven. 1 a.m., the first surge. The first pyroclastic surge hit the nearby town of Herculaneum. It killed everyone instantly. The heat was so intense that people's brains boiled and exploded inside their skulls. Their bodies were vaporized in seconds. In Pompeii, people heard the roar, felt the ground shake. 6:30 a.m., hour 17, the death of Pompeii. At dawn, the massive pyroclastic surge reached Pompeii. The wall of superheated gas and ash was 100 feet tall. It moved through the city in seconds. People died instantly. The heat killed them before they could even inhale. Their bodies went rigid, frozen in their final positions. A man shielding his face with his arms. A dog chained outside, trying to escape. A mother clutching her child. A baker still at his oven. A gladiator in chains in his cell. 2 women embracing, trying to protect each other. All preserved perfectly by the ash that buried them. The final hours. After the surges, Pompeii continued to be buried. By the end of the eruption, roughly 24 hours after it started, the city was under 20 feet of volcanic material. Pompeii had vanished from the map. 2,000 people dead, an entire city erased. The survivors who had fled early told stories of the disaster, but within a generation, the exact location of Pompeii was forgotten. The city remained buried for 1,700 years.
In 1748, workers digging a well accidentally broke through into an ancient building. They had found Pompeii. As archaeologists excavated the city, they made a haunting discovery. The ash that buried Pompeii had preserved everything. Buildings, artwork, food, graffiti on walls, loaves of bread still in ovens, and the bodies. The bodies had decomposed over the centuries, leaving hollow cavities in the hardened ash. In 1863, archaeologist Giuseppe Fiorelli had a brilliant and disturbing idea: pour plaster into the cavities. What emerged were perfect casts of the victims in their final moments. You can see them today in museums and at the archaeological site. A family huddled together, a man with his hands over his face, a pregnant woman curled in a fetal position, a guard dog twisted in agony. These aren't reconstructions. These are exact impressions of real people who died 2,000 years ago. The lesson. Pompeii isn't just a story about a volcanic eruption. It's a story about warning signs ignored. For 17 years, Vesuvius sent signals: earthquakes, tremors, animals fleeing, wells drying up. And people explained them away, normalized them, convinced themselves everything was fine. On August 24th, when the mountain finally exploded, most people stayed in their homes. We'll wait it out. By the time they realized their mistake, it was too late. Today, 3 million people live in the danger zone around Vesuvius. It's one of the most densely populated volcanic regions in the world. Vesuvius is still an active volcano. Scientists say it will erupt again, not if, when. And when it does, modern Naples has evacuation plans for 600,000 people. But here's the question: when the warnings come, the tremors, the gas emissions, the small eruptions, will people leave? Or will they do what the people of Pompeii did? Normalize the danger, explain it away, stay home. History doesn't repeat itself, but human nature does. The people of Pompeii weren't stupid. They weren't ignorant. They were normal people who couldn't imagine their entire world disappearing in 24 hours. Until it did. So ask yourself, what warnings are you ignoring?